beating a dead drum, bum, 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 bum. Like, hey guys, here's the math model over and over again. Like at this point, good for a refresher, and I'm waiting for testnet myself so I can pump some new numbers into it. But I mean, the whole math model, it started around the game theory and the mechanics of PulseX. I mean, first off, all right, building a new chain to support Hex. Awesome. Okay, can we get Uniswap over here so we can get trading? No, they hate us. Oh, okay. Well, then we'll build our own DEX. The beginning of PulseX. All right. Well, then how are we going to kick Uniswap's butt? Well, first off, make the fees just ever so much cheaper than Uniswap's. So it's cheaper. That's generally the best reason to use it. Okay, more secure, no admin keys, full Richard Hart style building. Those are some great mechanics in it. But then Uniswap, the token did not too bad. It was still just essentially an ERC20, a duct taped on token that was it do? Well, it represents Uniswap. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yay. So how, like, all right, so what do we do here? Well, a lot of things are inflationary, but how much would people like a deflationary asset? That's been tried a few times, but I mean, generally deflating an asset, okay, it doesn't affect price though, unless you really can affect the psychology of the market to fear and covet this deflation as something that makes them want to buy, unless you combine the idea of stock buybacks but you throw them in a dumpster and burn them. So now you've got your deflation, so you can pump price and deflate at the same time and actually have a meaningful impact from deflation to actually positively reinforce price. Okay, well, this is one hell of a moment. All right, that's awesome. But then also, if you can, the idea of holding, the what people are calling pumpamentals, Hex tries to build in the idea that, I mean, the holders are the one that benefits. So instead of paying miners, it pays stakers. Well, no, bad term. I got to reprogram. What are we calling it now? We're not mining. We're not. What is it? We're just.
Let me go to thesaurus.com and get you a word.
Yeah.
Burning. I think burning is catching on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like burning and minting. That's right. We're burning and minting because that's what we're doing. But anyway, so that burn and mint was basically an idea to get people to hold. A promise not to sell by burning and minting. Okay. Then the idea of this party token, which isn't even a token, it was just a placeholder. So the idea is, well, okay, we'll get you to promise not to sell this as well, but no time lock on it. Okay, well, that's different. So we're going to earn more PulseX? No, it's deflationary. We said that already. Well, all right, then what are we going to earn? Well, you know how people like to come along and give free airdrops? Yeah, we'll put those in pools, and then the amount of tokens you put in, however much of the pie that takes up, well, that's your amount of the yield of these new tokens people are giving away and airdropping. Oh, that's all that's about. So, I mean, if no one comes along and wants to give free tokens to the PulseX holders for whatever weird reason, then nothing will ever get earned there. But if people are releasing new projects and see it as a valuable place to target people that will hold their tokens, that's the idea, game theory mechanic about that. It'll, instead of crop dusting airdrops to Hex stakeholders and sackers for Pulse, because, well, then I got to take my wallet and touch it with this DApp and see if I want to even claim and risk like permissions. So, I mean, all this is, okay, I just sign my coins to this contract and then it handles airdrops and everything else to collect the pool. And this pool is meant for this airdrop. So I know what I'm signing up for before I put the coins in. So I don't just get crop dusted with all this crap to my wallet. So that's the game theory behind that. And all right, you might want to hold your tokens instead of selling them, which will also make the buy pressure amplify if you're not getting a lot of sell pressure. And then what other reasons might you want to hold it? Well, last we had heard, the rumor was 10 million tokens was the minimum vote share for being involved in the DAO. So if you want to say about what tokens are added to this airdrop field, basically, this incentive field to not sell your PulseX in game mechanics, well, then you get a vote. You get a say in the limited DAO. So these are voting shares, and they get buybacks. Like, you know, not trying to flag any ghouls named Gary right now, but like, that's some pretty awesome pumpamentals all by themselves. And then it seems you do support a little bit like any third-party protocol that's really meant to bolster Pulse. Like, I can say other project names on here. Yeah. So Power City, Liquid Loans, like, I mean, after the stablecoin fiascos, however, now that USDC actually reclaimed its peg, it's going to have bolstered confidence. Like, it's dropped the chance of a bank run on them again, in my opinion. Like, I don't think it's like Lightning, where strangely you're more likely to get hit by lightning if you've already been hit once. Like, now they've built confidence, and you know what? We can take your bank run and stuff it. We're still fine. So now the USDC is safe and will probably remain haunting over us. But we need some really good stables where there's no admin keys and they can't just disable it in our wallet if they don't like the look of the contract we were sniffing around. That's really concerning with the stablecoin for me. So, I mean, Liquid Loans making the USDL protocol that is not fractionally reserved. Well, it is, but instead of just having, well, we gave out $10, but we only got one. So as long as all 10 people don't come looking for $1 at once, we're okay. Like, instead of that fractional reserve, oh no, we got $100 and we only lent out 10. So yeah, it doesn't matter if they come looking for their money. We got it all. That's an awesome idea. Liquid Loans is doing that. Like, back when the Federal Reserve was supposed to actually be backed by gold, like before the Second World War. You know, sound back money. The paper actually had some value because you could go exchange it for gold, not buying it at a store, but like 1-to-1 ratio, I think, a gram of gold or something. Like, it mattered. It mattered. It used to anyway. So a protocol built like this, really, really important to flood our system with stable coins that can't really be depegged. They can, be depegged to the upside a little bit in a panic. That's really, really valuable. And I was really, really angry at Liquid Loans because they would only do it for Pulse. And I was like, well, that's well and good. But I mean, in some sort of negative, catastrophic price go down, I'm like, you know, I'm kind of wondering about all those layers of security. I'm like, wouldn't it be better on PulseX because it's got a buy and burn? That's like another cushion of redundancy, pushing price up to stop any events along with your stabilization pool and everything else. And so Power City came along and went, yeah, you know what? You're right. And they forked the protocol. So now we're getting PXDC as a stable coin based on PulseX. So that stable coin, I'm like, that one's even better, in my opinion. So we're going to have two really good stable coins flooding the system. And then we reduce sell pressure even further when it's like, oh, wow, look, because people are holding to vote and people are holding to claim new airdrops and the buy and burns going off, the price is going insane, and I don't even have to sell. I can just take a loan and mint some stable coins to realize my profit. So I don't have to put any sell pressure on my favorite asset. I'm happy. I'm happier than a pig rolling around in his own doings. Oh boy, me oh my! Like, since Power City announced that, I'm back on Twitter, folks. Oh,
I'm glad Liquid Loans left meat on the bones for Power City to do that. I think it's amazing. And then just a couple points too. So the liquidity providing part, is that where you earn the incentive token, or aka dump token, some people call it, and then the PLSX holders can vote on which LPs, which pools get the incentive tokens. Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the part of the limited DAO is distributing incentive tokens. So now incentive tokens, in the last time I caught a Richard Hart stream where he roughly talked about it, where he was comparing the Uniswap token as duct taped on and him caring so little about the incentive token. It was the least cared about thing in his ecosystem because it's just an ERC20 that essentially it's just a duct taped on token. So And he admits it. Like at this point, it's like, look, guys, I gave you a buy and burn, I gave you deflation, I gave you an ETH fork, I gave you all sorts of things. It's like, so there's a joke about like, dude, what happened, at the end of the Bible with Genesis? Like Adam's getting to the end of all the naming the animals, and it's like he's so tired. It's like, that's a bee because it's just being there, and that's a fly because it flies. It's like at the end of the chain, Richard's done all his creation, and it's an incentive token. What do you want?
They definitely spoke English.
It has value.
I think they definitely spoke English back then in Adam's days as well.
Yeah. No, but I mean,
I think
the joke of exhaustion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm just thinking too, like there's got to be some game theory around it too, because if you're getting rewarded with it, if it's trying to incentivize you to provide liquidity and do these pulls, it must have some value. So how do you think it's going to have value?
Okay, so I mean, in nominal terms, the incentive token, I mean, generally, any number of ERC20s, as long as they're listed on a DEX, they get trading volume from bots and other things that just regularly go. And some odd investors are just, you know what, that coin looks hot today and want to YOLO in. So for whatever reason, a token will get traded. And I mean, you incentivize it to liquidity providers, there's a chance it will get paired in liquidity. And then there's Hart's Law. So one of the easiest ways to siphon value for the incentive token would be to pair it in liquidity, bond it with PulseX. And then the moment you've pumped it with, or paired it with a pumpamental token, it siphons a little value off PulseX, but then stabilizes some of the sell-off pressure on the incentive token.
Gotcha. So yeah, I was just wondering because it's not one of those clear things up front. Okay, it's a dump token. There's got to be more to it than that. You have to incentivize them. If you can't, if it's worth nothing, then where's the incentive? So I think that's the next level.
It'll be worth something, but yeah, it's something that they can dump into the market, and simply through arbitrage, chasing value in PulseX. If it's paired, like a lot of things, like you pair it with PulseX in large enough quantities, and you start to bond the price action at least a little bit to it. So there's ways to give the incentive token that actual some amount of value. And funny enough, like you could look outside of it, but I mean, yeah, with all the value going into PulseX, there's definitely room that if a lot of liquidity is paired with it, the value's there. And I mean, providing liquidity, regardless of the incentive token, like the incentive token is not the primary reason to provide liquidity. It's gravy. The meat and potatoes of providing liquidity is the fees. It's the actual fees derived from the pool trading. So, I mean, that is what is supposed to take care of your impermanent loss. Now, if, say, a volume trading in a pool is low, but you want people trading in this thing, and there's not a lot of people providing liquidity because of the low volume, there's not a lot of fees to be made, well, now you bolster it with the incentive token. So the incentive token also isn't something that's just being handed out willy-nilly at mass print. Like the same way Hex has an inflation limiter of 3.69%, we have no idea at what rate the incentive token will actually be released in order to incentivize a pool. So, I mean, if there's only a token a day being released and you're only getting fractions per pool, well, there's only 365 tokens created in the first year. There could be some higher demand on that, strangely enough, because it's now strangely a coveted thing. And collectors just going, you know what? It's not complete until I own every RH token. Like, just for that mentality, like I got to have the whole set. There's reasons to buy into it. So, I mean, there's a lot we don't know about how it's going to roll out yet. So it's too vague to comment on. Like, it's the least talked about, the least pumpamentals to it. But I mean, there are some easy actions that can be taken to bolster it. So yeah,
and there's
it
no
is really,
sacrifice too. It's not like you got $1 billion, $2 billion already into it. This is something you need to earn or buy off the market from people who did earn it. So that's
correct.
something that is strikingly interesting to me. Is there's not already this huge supply that's already given away to people based on sacrifice. So I wanted to ask too about the buy and burn. So it's not an automatic buy and burn, right? It's somebody needs to run the function, and if so, is that a fundamental for PulseChain because they're going to be or they are burning or otherwise going to take, or if nothing else, usage of you're going to need Pulse to do the PulseX buy and burns. Yeah, you just want to talk about that?
Okay, so you do have to have a little fraction of a layer 1 token for gas. Yes, you do have to be able to have the gas to run the transaction. So in order to protect against attack vectors in version 2 VB, it is a user engaged protocol. So it's not automated, so it can't be gamed by timing and mempool. This has to be activated by users. It randomizes a little more and makes sure that the value isn't sandwich bot attacked or other fancy terms that just mean evil actors want to come and siphon some of that value if they can for no good reason. So to help protect against that, and I think some of the against making it a security, no, a user has to interface with it. Now, each and every time you run that buy and burn, there's a small amount of the fees used to do the buy and burn that actually get paid to you. So you get paid to click that button. Now, you want to make sure you're getting paid more than the gas fee to click the button, but since there's actually incentive to engage with that contract, that's pretty cool. Basically, this community is large enough. I don't see any way that button's not clicked multiple times a day, each and every day. But it'll turn into one of those games like The Price is Right, get the price as close as you can without going over. Ooh, that bar's getting up, that's almost worth a click, but everyone's just waiting. Then someone's like, I can't wait any longer. Click, takes the fees. I don't know how it's going to work, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. It's paying the users to engage and activate the thing. And I mean, yeah, it will be really fun game theory wise to see how that experiment plays out, in my opinion.